Hello.
Hello, Pete. It's Jerry.
How you doing, Jerry?
I'm good. How's things in San Diego?
Oh, it's a little bit chilly here. It's about 32.
30. Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
That's cold.
I used to live in Chicago, so I know what cold weather is. As you probably know, I was born in Cuba, and I love the this to see the ocean. And well, since I moved here, I have
Hmm.
visited the ocean like about a dozen times, and
Boy.
I've been living here like 13 years. So I go there like once a year, you know.
Hmm.
And
What?
well, that's one of the things that happen when you get non-duality back. Uh, everywhere you are is fine. You don't need to go any special places.
Yeah, yeah. There's no real. Maybe there's no real
Well, that
craving.
yeah. Right now, I'm looking out of my window and I see a wood fence, the blue sky getting lighter, a pine tree, a bamboo shrubbery, and that is fine. I don't need anything else.
It is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
no, let me tell you, this is really a thrill for me. I have not known you, but read your input in all these different groups and your own
Hmm.
blog, and you are one of the guys that I think is the one of the you are the main standard bearer for non-duality, and
Yeah.
I'm to the death to be talking to you.
Really? Thanks. I'm very aware of your presence, your writings, and you've been on a non-duality salon for a long time. Like for how long? Since the beginning, or?
I discovered Advaita, middle 90s, 95, something like
Yeah.
that. By chance, I used to go to the Chicago Library, go to this section of philosophy and mysticism, and just pick a book at random and read it.
Yeah.
And one day, by chance, I pick up a book, and it was one of Nisargadatta's.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed with him, and what he said resonate so much with me that I read all his books,
Mm.
and I was converted to non-duality. You know,
Yeah.
before I was a Buddhist, and I'm still a Buddhist, but these philosophies, this religions, whatever you want to call them,
Mm.
are you don't need to exclusively use one. You can use one or another or pick. It's like when you're having to do a job, you go to the toolbox and you just say, well, I'm just going to use a hammer. And no matter what I need to do, I'm going to use this hammer. Well, you're not going to get the job done
Yeah.
unless your job is hammering nails. You're not going to get the job done.
Yeah. So there's all these different teachings, and I've heard more people say that they came to non-duality through coming across one of Nisargadatta's books. It's almost it's like I knew you were going to say Nisargadatta. It's true for it was true for myself, and it's true for so many people that something about his words immediately make you feel like you're coming home or something.
Yes, it's he was a huge world teacher, and he hasn't reached the status yet of others were world teachers, like Krishnamurti and Ramana. But one day he will take his place. There'll be no,
Yeah.
and that is something that I admire you for. You are relentless in letting people know about non-duality. My little futile input every day, to keep these groups alive and every way I can. They're dying, the Yahoo groups, but
Yeah, those groups they have kind of been taken over by the the blogs and now Facebook and so on. But Non-duality salon group is still active. There's a group of really good people there.
your non-duality salon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. We're still talking informally, right? Where you are not recording this.
No, I'm recording. This is the interview. Yeah.
This is the interview.
But I don't have to include anything that you don't want me to include. But I mean, there's a lot of
No.
interesting.
I was gonna upbraid you a little bit, but if you are recording, I don't want to do
No, it's okay. What were you going to say?
that. Are you sure?
Yeah, or I don't have to include it. I could edit it out. So
Okay, all right. Well, I think you made a mistake by closing the group.
yeah,
I think that because of the condition, the Yahoo groups, inevitably, that's a difficult word to say. Your group is going to die if you don't bring new blood.
yeah,
And it's a shame that it will, because it's one of the finest venues for discussing non-duality.
yeah. I got tired of of moderating it, and it was taking a lot of energy that I didn't want to put into it. I don't know. And once you make a group private on Yahoo, then you can't go back and make it public. So I would have to start a new group, like the new non-duality salon or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, it's just something I haven't really put much attention into. It's a lot of work to moderate it and to deal with people, some of the new people that come and go, and a lot of the arguing that goes back and forth. So, but I appreciate your saying that. I think you're right. I mean, these Yahoo groups have, some of them are still do quite well. Maybe not in the area of non-duality, but in other fields. They're still very active. I know you have your own group, Advaita to
I
Zen.
have two groups, yes. From Advaita to Zen, and I also have non-duality salon that our mutual friend Greg Goodet left to me when he got too busy to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I also belong to others like Open Awareness and Vulgarulo.
What is it?
Gary Falk,
Oh, okay.
Vulgarulos.
Okay, I don't even know what it's called. Okay.
Yeah. It's mainly a chit chat group,
Okay.
but sometimes it's a shame that Sarlo dissolved or suspended his group good rating.
He did. I didn't even know that. That was a really active
Yes,
group.
yes, and I have my small part there, and in his decision, I suppose, and Gary also, and see, there are gurus and there are anti-gurus, and a teacher or a guru is someone that someone puts up to agree with and to listen to and to follow, at least 90% of the time. But an anti-teacher or an anti-guru is someone that once a person sets up to disagree with, he's the person that he wants to prove wrong. Okay? And I consider myself an anti-teacher. That is mainly my role. My role is to challenge people's conceptuality any way I can, and to make them look at that conceptuality by the light of what I know it will upset them. Now, it's a messy process, but if the person is on the path, they can use it. I wrote a little piece that, if you don't mind, I would like to read to you.
Okay. We're speaking with Pete Sierra, who lives in San Diego, is from Cuba originally. Read what you're going to what you
Well,
wrote.
I'm gonna read you what I wrote about the anti-guru, and the response I got. The anti-teacher is a new kind of guru hard at work on these groups. You might be the anti-teacher to someone here, and neither you nor your anti-pupil might be aware that this is happening. When someone chooses you as his anti-teacher, they set you up as the person to prove wrong. And this urge to prove you wrong becomes like a mission. But underneath the obvious hostility to your ideas, the anti-pupil is using you to teach himself and to clarify his own ideas. At the end of the process, some of the anti-teacher's opinions will be adopted by the anti-pupil in a modified form without giving credit to the anti-teacher.
Okay, well, what do you expect? Yeah. The
Right.
anti-pupil, the anti-teacher. So I'm not sure how that's different from teacher and pupil, but
Two people could use each other as anti-teachers, and these relationships, although they could be profitable and illuminating for both, usually degenerate into protracted dogfights, which disturbs the other interactions at the group. And this is why Sarlo discontinued Guru Radio, because he had too many anti-teachers there, and I admit that. I saw the back and forth was kind of stormy and nasty, and so he got tired of that, and he just discontinued.
well, then shouldn't there be some, shouldn't the anti-teacher and the anti-pupil, or shouldn't the anti-teacher be able to function in a way that keeps the host alive, that keeps the forum alive? Or I mean, what's the sense in carrying out their function in such a way that it ruins or destroys the forum, unless that's their point, unless that's what you want to do, which is okay, but
No, that's not the point. But see, this is the anti-pupil and the anti-teacher has no control over the relationship. It's a chaotic, uncontrollable relationship. The anti-teacher has control, but the anti-pupil doesn't have control over his own reaction, and that's the point. That the relationship can be useful to. Let me continue with this. It's almost ending.
okay, I didn't know you're still reading. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. If the anti-teacher knows his role, he usually lets the anti-pupil attack his ideas without responding. Eventually, the other party will come to terms with the ideas, either by agreeing or learning tolerance or simply moving on. If you notice someone is using you as such, it is best to keep it to yourself, at least until the person no longer needs you. If you look closer, I bet you can spot this kind of relationships going on right now. People like Tumbaro, Dan, and AC are sometimes used in this way by some people. There is a very simple but profitable experiment you can conduct in this regard. When you notice your irritation at reading a post growing as you read, and you can't wait to reply, just sit back and focus on the irritation and try to spot what really provoked it. Is it a desire? Is it a fear? Why is this idea so threatening to you that you have to resort to ad hominems and insults? Does it happen more with that person than with others? Why have you given those ideas and maybe that person such a negative value? recognize those ideas as hot buttons to be disconnected. This is just a thought. Don't get all worked up about it. And now here is one response that I get from publishing that. This
Okay.
is this is just horseshit, rationalizing for your experience of being ignored. You have nothing to say, so what's your fix from all those these posts? Find a friend.
Yeah.
So I wrote back, provoking him a little bit more.
Who wrote that? Anybody we know?
I don't know if you know him. He goes by the handle of Sen, and he writes at Open Awareness, and he couldn't have picked a less suitable handle than Sen.
Right.
I wrote back to him, "You made my day. I didn't know you cared that much. Thanks. Worthy of such passion." So this is one of the unfortunately one of the roles that I perform in this kind of list. And this is something that we have very much in common. I try to challenge people about what is non-duality.
Yeah.
All right, and you do too, and you like to get definitions about what is non-duality.
Yeah.
I think once you had a contest that people send you definitions about non-duality and you publish them.
Yeah.
Uh, but what is non-duality as a concept? What
Uh, It's just, I don't know. I mean, you can
right?
it's the idea of non-separation. So, I mean,
Yes.
you really can't know that. You really can't talk about that or know that because there's non-separation. So,
And there is another aspect of the non-duality that people sometimes ignore. What is non-duality as perception? I was born in non-duality. You were born in non-duality. Everyone is born to non-duality. You are born non-dual, completely non-dual. The moment you are born, your family, your society start educating you on duality. They teach you duality, and inevitably they erase non-duality. You, it's gone out the window, and it happens to everybody at different ages.
mm,
I happen to be lucky that I remember what that non-duality that I was born with, that perception that I was born with was.
how do you remember it? In what way do you remember it? And how old were you?
I remember distinctly how I felt. I felt like I wasn't separate from my perception. There was no observer. If I saw a wall, the wall wasn't apart from me. I got such feeling from that wall, or from a toy, or from the sky, or from seeing another person. Seeing another person was such joy. But little by little, I got educated of that I was me, Pete.
How old were you when you remembered that non-separation, that joy of seeing people? Do you remember your age? Like 2, 3, 4?
I,
Or...
this thing, no, that this non-duality for me started fading progressively as I grew older, and the last shred, that umbilical cord, was severed completely when I moved to the United States at age 24. So I lasted a long time.
Oh, so you were still already like a young adult when you
Uh,
had this awareness of
Exactly. And I remember the moment that the umbilical cord was snapped. I was walking down the street in Miami, you know.
Uh,
And I look up at the sky, and all of a sudden the sky seemed like a ceiling, a blue ceiling, something
uh,
solid and apart.
uh,
It gave me no sensation whatsoever. And then I look at around, and everything was like that. I was like an actor in a bad at the station, a bad theater where things were look like cardboard things, completely apart and without any feeling. And of course, I panic.
hmm,
And that stage of alienation, unfortunately, lasted several years. And I was frantic trying to regain that feeling again. And the more that I tried, the more separated I got.
hmm,
Until I, by chance, again in a library in Miami, I found the works of Saint John of the Cross,
hmm.
and he talked about the dark night of the soul, and describe exactly my condition. And I said, "Oh wow, this is what is happening to me." Of course, he didn't give me or anyone else give me a method how to get rid of that. So it lasted several years, and then one day, walking again in downtown Chicago, of all the places,
Hmm.
for no rhyme or reason, all of a sudden it came back.
Hmm.
You know, the buildings, and I don't know if you know Chicago. I was walking down LaSalle Street in the financial sector, and there is all these skyscrapers that are as gray and as lifeless, and all of a sudden they became alive. They were me again.
Hmm. They became alive. That's a key word, alive.
Right. They became alive, and it was me. The beauty was so much that I had to stop, and I was looking around like I was a tourist. And I have been living in that city for several years, and and I was looking at everything like, wow, I was in a museum. These things are masterpieces.
Hmm.
Well, I was back, but this kind of experience and realization, people think that it's a final stage,
Hmm.
and they think that it's like finding a treasure buried by a pirate, where you find it and all the jewels are there and there's nothing else to do. No, that's not the case. At least not to me.
Okay.
Or in my case, it's like finding a gold mine,
Hmm.
and you have to do a lot of digging and sifting dirt to find the gold nuggets.
Hmm.
And yeah, once you find a gold mine, the search ends, but the digging begins.
Hmm.
And I'm still digging.
What does that mean, the digging?
The, the digging means that perceptions, bliss, peace, wisdom, all the attributes that realization has are not constant. And there is no final truth. It's a process of ever finding. You are not searching, but you have to keep on digging. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I just want to know about your understanding and your experience. So this digging then, to me, it sounds like life itself, just living life.
Yes, yes. It is. It's life. It's like, and it's not. See, the search is sort of a, how would you put it? Hard in its effort. You're applying a lot of effort. The digging is like pleasure, like a hobby. the search is work and the digging is a hobby. The digging is the activity that you do, which is pleasurable. The findings really doesn't matter. You don't. If you find okay, gold is all right. If you don't, in a way, a connection has been established in which you get input from the unconscious. That is one of the things that I consider is part of being liberated, is that you have no really hard preference. Of course, preference are always there, but you don't have hard preference.
Mm-hmm.
You're willing to take whatever it comes, and even, and this is one of my pet peeves that there's which make me an anti-teacher, is that even awareness is no longer preferable.
Mm-hmm.
Being unaware or being unconscious is just as fine. And one of the things that you have to realize this is like, how can you put awareness and being conscious as the supreme good when you are very tired, exhausted? The only thing that you crave for is sleep,
Yeah.
to be unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that when you are in deep sleeps, you're still aware, you don't know the definition of the word awareness. You really have not dig enough into language to understand that language creates a verbal reality. That language makes you see things that are not there and pursue them and do terrible, evil things because you think that your ideal is the truth. Like, for example, the Taliban, the evil group of the Jew, is killing people that are vaccinating against polio in India because they think that what they believe is real and that God can be offended
Mm.
and have to defend Muhammad from and killing is what God killing infidels is what God wants from them. Can God have an honor? Can a country have honor? I mean, these are things created by language that we kill people and torture people without understanding what we're doing and what those words mean.
Mm. I find we're going to different topics, and I kind of would like to stay on, go back and pick up on some other topics.
Okay, fine, no problem.
I want to talk about your writing for a minute. Do you write every day?
Yes, everything.
And you write short pieces, like short prose or, short
Yeah,
essays,
little essays
short
or
stories. Yeah.
poems or stories. Yeah.
And so how important is writing to you as far as some of this digging that you're talking about? How does that relate to this digging?
Well, this is the part of the connection that I feel I have, that I'm fed all these insights or intuitions for me to write. And if I don't have any intuition, I don't write anything. If I think that the list is the list or the groups that I have are slowing down, I just cross post something that someone else wrote or repost something that it was said before, but I don't force myself on.
Okay, well, how important is writing to you? Because it's something you do regularly for, years.
Well, it's very important. It's what I feel I need to do each day. But it's if one day I have nothing to say, it's all right. I don't mind
Yeah.
not writing. Or if it never come back again. I'll move on to something else. It's not an attachment per se. It's like that song that Cohen wrote or poem. If it be your will that my voice be still, I'll speak no more.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice. Very beautiful. Yeah. That was Leonard Cohen wrote that?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And so the other thing I want to ask you about, and I mentioned this a couple of times, is you talked about searching, and then you talked about, when you find the gold mine, then there's the digging. So I still want to talk, and we already did talk about that, but I feel that maybe there's more that could be said about that because a lot of people listening to this, I think, find themselves in that situation of doing the digging. So if you have anything else to say about that, I'd like to hear it because to me it seems like it's just living life as someone who's very involved in these teachings or these anti-teachings and just living the life around that, doing whatever you do and just being aware. And maybe just being aware is enough to say. But is there anything else you want to add to that whole process?
Okay, well, let's backtrack a little bit and talk about non-duality as a concept. Non-duality as a concept, as a theory, as a method of liberation is part of the verbal madness that we suffer. We are hypnotized by words.
Mm-hmm.
So we live in a verbal reality, and non-duality as a concept is part of that verbal reality. So, what is non-duality as a method of liberation?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you going to use the concept of non-duality as a method of liberation or as a religion? And people use non-duality sometimes as a religion. They find, oh, well, everything is awareness. There's nothing else. There's no materiality. There's no physicality.
Mm-hmm.
All is awareness.
So awareness becomes the god of this religion.
Exactly. Now we worship awareness, but we are still not liberated. We are no different than a devout Christian or a devout Jew or a devout Muslim. You're still following verbal precepts. You have not found the gold mine. The gold mine, which is the perceptions that you had when you were a child.
Uh-huh. So you become a devout non-dualist, basically.
Exactly.
So it
And this is what I
takes
try to challenge as an anti-teacher.
so the anti-teacher then is the one to try to break that up.
Exactly.
But how do you know that somebody is a devout non-dualist, and how do you know they're just verbalizing for the sake of there's nothing else to do because we do, if you go on a Yahoo group, you have to verbalize, you have to write. So how do you know everyone who writes is a devout non-dualist?
Well,
How do you know, and can you know?
yes, I can know by the responses to because I don't designate them. They designate themselves by attacking what I write about. You see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
their response to what I write that let me know if they are a devout non-dualist that feels offended and needs to defend his faith or not.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So I think from their response, you can tell that they've kind of set up an object, maybe, awareness or non-duality as some kind of an object that they can't let go of.
Right, and they feel threatened when it's attack.
Yeah.
Once you wake up from this verbal hypnotism, and the process of waking up can has to be dual. It has to be meditation, practice, and inquiry into your own ideas, challenging your own concepts. And then if you're lucky, there is no guarantee if you pursue that long and hard enough, it might happen that you all of a sudden you're out of it. You are back into the way you used to perceive as a child. And then the temptation is there to say, aha, this is what I am. I am awareness. I am this perception. No, you're not that. Still have to go a little bit farther, into the matter. There is different kinds of awareness. There is different dimensions to awareness. It's like you are not receiving or dwelling in the same kind of awareness when you wake up and feel fresh and rested than at midnight when you are just falling asleep. And there is infinite gradations or piece of this awareness. So you have to dig and go through what the Buddhists call the jhanas. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that well. It's spelled Jhanas.
Okay.
Yeah, which means knowledge, right? The different kinds of knowledge or comprehensions. There is the fifth jhana is the dimension of infinite space. At one point, you realize that you are infinite space. And this is tremendous. This is a great accomplishment. You feel infinite. You feel, your clarity itself,
Mm-hmm.
But that is not the final understanding. Then you go through the dimension of infinite consciousness after that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize that this space that you feel that you are is consciousness itself.
Mm-hmm.
And most people are tempted to stop there. This is the last station, get off the train. Well, not really. There is the dimension, after that, there is the dimension of nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
Then you feel like you're nothing. Like this space is really nothing, that nothing is happening, that there is no doers, that there is no causes. And you say, well, this is it. But it's not the last stop either. You go then to the dimension of neither perception nor perception. I mean, you're free from both. You see, this is the ultimate freedom. And you're not afraid of death. You're not afraid of suffering. You're not afraid of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Being aware is good, but being non-aware, not perceiving, is just as good. Because these are just aspects of the same unnameable, the same unknown, okay? And this is where all religions, if pursued to the end, convert. And this is where science, if pursued to the end, stops too.
Mm-hmm.
Because science ends at an animation of, I don't know. I don't know the ultimate cause, the final theory. Could it be string theories, multiple universes? No matter what you discover in science or in religions, there is always the unknown behind that, because what created God? What created strings? What created multiple universes? The core of the dilemma is your belief in causes and in things. When you identify, which means you make something into an object,
Hmm.
then inevitably that object needs a cause. But is that really true? Do we need causes? Isn't
Yeah.
maybe causes are an illusion. Things have no causes at all. They are all relative to each other and they are cyclical. You know,
Mm.
space and time and
Mm.
awareness all is cyclical and it's just a never-ending circle that needs no cause or creator or anything like that. Think about it. Think about how,
Mm.
where science is right now. Science is at the point where some physicists believe that there's no materiality at all, that
Yeah.
matter and energy are a product of space, that everything from quarks to atoms is just a space vibrating
Yeah.
and forming itself. It's like the universe is a space origami,
Mm.
a space folding itself into shapes.
Space origami. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and this space origami is self-created. It's a space itself and time that has created this origami, and you and I are this origami perceiving ourselves, but projecting it as the other.
Hmm.
We create that duality maybe because society has um, make us do that between the observer and the observed. It's like seeing yourself in the mirror when you are a child and seeing your image as another kid that you want to play with.
Yeah.
And realization is realizing there is no kid, another kid in the mirror. It's just me.
It's just, yeah, it's just a part of the origami sculpture.
Right. And you can never know this what you are or what this origami is or how it works exactly. You have to give up that need to know and just perceive what's happening without being an observer, which is quite a trick, but you know.
I don't know why you call yourself an anti-teacher. To me, you just sound like a teacher.
Well, no, I'm not a teacher. I have no method, no method. And this that I'm telling you today, I might change my mind tomorrow about
Well, that's okay. Well, I'll interview you again tomorrow.
it.
Um, well, I'm glad I asked you then more about this digging because I think
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
you went quite far in it.
you're a great interviewer.
Anybody you know in person that you meet or talk to about these things?
Yeah, so mainly friends that are like-minded. You know, we discuss not as me being considered a teacher, but you know, like something that we like to discuss.
Yeah, about how many people do you get together with, or do you know that
Oh no,
talk about it?
no groups, just one-on-one.
Yeah,
They are just friends and family that like to talk about this. Like four or five, nothing like.
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I know that you conduct very successful groups and seminars, and
Yeah, we just have like a local group in here in Nova Scotia. So, but I know this is something you could do too, but you're probably, if it happens, it happens, These
yeah,
things,
it's
it's like when you write something, you have the intuition to write something. It's the same thing with a group. You have the feel that this is what has to be done, and it gets
uh,
done.
my philosophy about this thing is that you never know how you're going to be useful or to whom or to how many people if you help someone, even if it's only one person, you have already justified your life. You don't have to be to have a great mission or
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. I mean, it's all right to help as many people as you can, but there are big Buddhas and little Buddhas.
Yeah, and
And
I don't know how much you need to help anyone. I think all you need to do is, respond to your own inner need to do whatever you need to do, and you do that. You don't know what it's going to do for anyone. It's not so much that you need to help someone or, so you don't. It's just more of a direct action, a direct response to
I think that
your need.
I think that enlightenment or realization is more common than most people think. The only thing is that most enlightened people or realized people or liberated people, whatever you want to call them, don't feel the need to talk about it. So
Yeah,
therefore,
I think that's
that's the silent majority. That anti-teacher thing that I did, he responded to this guy that attacked me. And this is what Dan wrote when he said that, when he wrote that to me. He says, bounce back, regroup, rationalize, form a new agenda, try again, fix again, until no rationalization is possible, no fix is available, futility exposed. Is futility accepted? That is peace.
yeah. See, that's Dan, and that's where all his writings kind of leave you in that place,
Yeah.
futility, and it's like you can't answer him. I find that, he leaves you kind of in silence, like you can't really. But what are you going to say to that, really? You can say it's beautiful or thank you or.
Well, I sometimes give him a hard time because.
Yeah. I guess you can still write him back about futility, or you can still make a comment about it, and then get into a dialogue.
That there is a contradiction in saying there is no one. We are all one, and you are writing in a Yahoo group.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so if there is no one, why do you bother to type? Why are you not talking to yourself like any other regular nut?
Right.
Right?
Same thing. Yeah.
Because see, and this is something that is part of non-duality as a religion, and
Yeah.
not non-duality as an experience. People don't realize that illusion doesn't go away when you understand it as illusion.
Hmm.
Illusion keeps happening, and and it forces you to deal with it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a mirage. Okay, a mirage.
Yeah.
What is a mirage? And what is an illusion in general? An illusion is a misinterpretation of reality. An illusion is real, but you are misinterpreted, and that's where the illusion ends. You interpret it right doesn't make the reality of the illusion disappear. When you no longer see the mirage as water, the water doesn't disappear. You still see that blue glimmer in the horizon, but now you know that it's no water. You don't have to go there.
Mm.
It's the air shimmering with heat and refracting the light in a way that you see it as water, but it doesn't disappear when you understand it is no water.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's the same with once you understand that there is no one, that there is only one, objects don't disappear.
Yeah.
Objects still, you still need to deal with objects. Now, the only thing that you understand now is that they are that you're misinterpreting,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to deal with the reality that is there. That they're not going to disappear. So,
But we make the mirage a separate thing, a separate. We make it. We even make it truth, or awareness.
exactly. And there is no. You can only end. You never can find it the ultimate truth. You can only end in accepting the unknown, accepting the fact that you don't know, and the only thing that you have is your own experience, and that it would end one day, but that is all right. It would pop up somewhere else without your history,
Yeah. Hmm.
without your memories.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful anti-teachings. Yeah.
Well, Gary, it has been a privilege to talk to you.
I want to thank you, Pete, very, very much. I've always seen your writings. I never got to know you. You don't say anything about yourself. Like, you never talk about your life, your own. Well, even in this interview, you didn't talk much about your life. Yeah, we know you live in San Diego, but from Cuba.
Oh,
But you don't.
it's not important. It's not important.
But it's interesting. People want to know, so it's not important. Well, what's important? So.
I live
Well,
the most boring of life. But to me, I I find little things of great interest. I could take a walk and around the block and feel like I'm in heaven. So I don't feel compelled to do anything or go any place. And
yeah,
always I think about the past, because if I think about the past, then I back into the verbal madness.
yeah,
And some people might find that callous or cold or inhuman. But I was born in Cuba, and I lived for 24 years there, a very happy life. But I don't think about it anymore, or I don't want to go back. And even if Castro falls, I won't go back. It's done with, and that's the way I live. Every day when it ends, and I don't have to revisit it unless, for practical purpose, I need to remember something.
So were growing up, your first 24 years in Cuba, do you think there's something about Cuba or other people in Cuba who might have that sensibility, or what do you
Oh
think?
yeah, I was lucky to find. I always found the right people at the right time. And to guide me to the next step, even if they or I were not even aware of what was happening. It happened, and it worked out for me.
Mm,
I found really good people in Cuba to guide me through the search. Because
yeah,
you never know when you're gonna find your somebody
yeah,
that's put things into context. Not that I needed, because as I said before, I was born with it, and I had it when I was in Cuba to a certain degree, but the conceptuality to deal with it and put it into context and know and give me direction wasn't there. And there were people that came in and provided for it. And one of them was the guy that pointed me to the Rosicrucians.
mm,
And of course, the Rosicrucian is a very crude way to start. you know, a lot of superstition there and New Age stuff. But they taught me to how to meditate
Yeah.
and this and that. And then I found Krishnamurti and then I found Buddhism and mystical Christianity.
Now, was that in Cuba? How much of that was in while you were in Cuba?
Up to Krishnamurti, and then here I found Buddhism and I even read Christianity at that point, the mystics of Christianity and Judaism. The Kabbalah. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Because Judaism has a very excellent way of liberation too, and anybody that wants to follow it can follow it and will come to liberation.
Going back, I'm interested in Cuba because you said you came across Rosicrucianism and Krishnamurti in Cuba. Was that material, those readings, hard to find, or what?
Well, that was pre-Castro.
Okay.
Yeah, I came to the United States in 1961, so most of my time in Cuba was pre-Castro.
Yeah, okay. Did you have a hard time getting out of Cuba, or how was that?
No, I didn't. See, my father used to work for the government of Batista,
Mm.
and then he somehow managed to keep working for the government and with Fidel, but he was a double agent. He also worked for the American intelligence.
Mm.
And when he immigrated to the United States, of course, it was easy for him with his contacts here to get us a visa, and we came after him.
That's another story in itself, I think.
Well, yeah, it's a very interesting story, but maybe it doesn't fit here.
But I think we covered a lot of your history from the Rosicrucianism, from your awareness as a young person, and the Rosicrucianism and Krishnamurti, and we didn't really talk about Buddhism. So how did you get into Buddhism somehow? That was.
Well, I stumbled on the books of Alan Watts, and he explained it so well that I said, "Wow, this is fascinating. These people had absolutely the right picture of what the human dilemma is. Look at their main tenets is anatta, which is lack of self; codependent origination, which is there is no self, but everything arises in relationship, which is exactly what modern physics says. And then they have anicca, which is impermanence, everything is change. And then they have sunyata, which is emptiness, everything is empty. Although most people misunderstand emptiness as nothingness, but emptiness is not nothingness. It's that everything lacks independent existence. Everything is relative to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not causality. You have to think about it like in the context of a dance, because the Hindus were right in picturing the universe as the dance of Shiva. See, a dance has a sequence of movements, and you cannot misplace those movements, or otherwise it wouldn't be a dance. But one movement doesn't cause the next. You see what I'm saying? It's just a sequence of unrelated things. It's like playing a symphony too. One note has to follow the other in a certain order, but one note doesn't cause the other. It's just sequencing.
Yeah, nicely said. Yeah.
But the universe is a space moving in a certain order. Not that one movement causes the other, especially if you see a movement as an object. Now, this is the primary illusion, to see movement or behavior as objects, as things, solidifying a movement, which is a contradiction, right? It's like there is no solid movement at all. It has to be fluid. Okay, Jerry.
There's no isolated independent movement, I think is another way of saying it.
Yeah, each movement is movement in a way is an illusion, right? So think of a movie.
Mm.
A movie is a wonderful analogy for reality and liberation. Look at this. Each frame is separate, but
Yeah.
when you put it in motion in a camera, memory creates movement out of stillness. There is every frame is still, and the whole universe is still, but somehow there is movement because of memory. And in the movie is a wonderful metaphor for liberation too, because when you go to a movie, you get involved in that fiction, and you care, and you suspend your disbelief, and everything is real, and you suffer.
Yeah.
You rejoice with what is happening, but in a way, there is no sufferer. It's all art.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's like in a horror movie, people go there to be scared, to feel fear. The thing that they most fear in real life is fear and pain and suffering, but they go there to experience it as art.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
in the same way, when you are liberated, you still enjoy the movie and the terror and the drama, but you don't take it personally. You know it's art. You know it's passing. You know that it doesn't touch you.
Yeah, yeah, and you understand that your life is art.
Exactly. And I think Plotino said that suffering was necessary for life to be a drama.
Mm,
And everybody enjoys a good drama, right?
right. Well, yeah, I enjoyed the drama with you. I know you want to get going. This was, I mean, there was the drama of no drama. So that was good. That was great. I want to thank you, Pete Sierra. Thanks for talking to him.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
Jerry.